Is the Tail of the Dragon the most dangerous roadway in the United States? Let's check it out. The summer of 2021, our 15-year-old son and myself took a motorcycle ride. The ultimate goal was to get to the Tail of the Dragon. We stopped at Arlington Cemetery in Virginia on our way to Mount Airy and Mayberry Campground, where we spent the first evening in their tents. The next day, we spent some time in Mount Airy, and we visited the Andy Griffith Museum, had breakfast at the Barney's Cafe, and spent a little bit of time in town. We both enjoy watching the Andy Griffith Show. Some of you remember that show. After spending some time in Mount Airy, North Carolina, we headed for the Tail of the Dragon. Now, some of you may have been there, and it is considered by some to be the most dangerous roadway in the United States. I'll give you my opinion, but this is my opinion only. I've also ridden Million Dollar Highway in Colorado, and personally, I feel that might be a little more dangerous. But that's probably up for discussion, and it depends on who you ask. One thing's for sure, the Tail of the Dragon demands respect. There's no doubt about that. I do not recommend it for a new rider, or maybe considered a novice rider. I highly recommend getting some experience on roads with a lot of curves and some hills before you try to do this. The Tail of the Dragon consists of 318 curves and 11 miles. We started at Deals Gap, North Carolina, and it's right at the Tennessee line, and it's on Route 129. For this video, I was using a Drift Ghost XL camera, and I had it mounted on my engine guard on a 2016 Street Glide Special. We had the tour pack and everything because we had tents and our sleeping bags and everything with us. As we rode the Tail of the Dragon, there were times where I scraped the, exhaust and, floorboards. And we weren't trying to set any records, that's for sure. It happened to be a beautiful day, and it was on a Monday afternoon. And so we didn't have a lot of traffic. They were calling for a possible chance of rain moving through, and so that held some people back. We met some other riders at a gas station, and they said, nah, they're not going to attempt it. They were going to wait till the next day. Well, my son and I, we said, hey, you know what? Let's take the chance. And we were glad we did, because it ended up staying, it didn't rain, so it was basically dry, and there wasn't a lot of traffic. A few places that you'll see on the video where there were cars that left us past them. We also had another motorcycle come up behind us, and we left him go by because he was having a lot of fun. He was on a different type of bike, and he was able to travel a lot faster than we were, and what I had wanted to anyway. One of my recommendations is to take a couple of days if you go to the Tail of the Dragon and ride some of the other roads in that area. There is some excellent riding in North Carolina and Tennessee. I'm focusing on the Tail here because that's what I have the video of right now. But Moonshiners 28 is another great road in that area. And the back of the Tail, that's in West Virginia. So if you do take the time to go to that area, take a couple of days and ride different roads. There's a lot of advertising or a lot of talk about the Tail of the Dragon. A lot of people have heard about it. And so I think that's why it gets the type of riders that it does, because some people just like the challenge, and just want to go. For me, it was one of the things where I kept hearing about it, and I was like, well, I want to go do it just to say that I've been there, done that type of thing. Been there, done that, got the T-shirt. So that was one of my goals, but there are a lot of other great roadways in that area. So take a couple of days. But if you are, let's say you're a newer rider and you keep hearing about the Tail of the Dragon, and you're thinking, well, I'd like to do this sometime, but you're a little nervous and you're a little apprehensive. Um, I had our 15-year-old son riding with me, so obviously, I was a little bit nervous at the beginning, but it didn't take me long to kind of relax and realize, oh, wait a minute, I've got this. But if you are a new rider or newer rider and you want to do this, you're up for the challenge. I'm from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and there's a couple of routes that are good practice. Let's put it that way. We do have what some people call the tail of the dragon in Pennsylvania. It's nowhere close to what you'll see in Tennessee, but it is a road you could get some practice on. So if you're, within an hour and a half or 2 hours of some roadways where you can get a little bit of experience, that'd be the great thing to do, because you don't want to get down to the tail of the dragon and be so nervous that you're white knuckling the entire dragon. That'll take some of the fun out of it. But in Pennsylvania, we have a couple of routes. Wyckoff Run Road, and that connects PA 120 with Quanah Highway. That's a great road. PA Tail of the Dragon, like I mentioned earlier, Route 125 and Gold Mine Road. It's nothing's official there, but these are great roads that you could get some practice on and kind of get accustomed to this type of riding before you head down to Tennessee to do the Tail of the Dragon. Route 44 in northern Pennsylvania, Coudersport area, that's another one that I enjoy riding. The Tail of the Dragon in Tennessee is approximately 600 miles from where we are at in Pennsylvania here. So I'm just going to reiterate here, if you want to go ride the Tail of the Dragon, go for it. It is a great road. It is a lot of fun. Again, I highly recommend riding some of the other roads in that area. But make sure that you are prepared for the type of road that it is. 318 curves and 11 miles is the road's no slouch, that's for sure. So you do need to be prepared. And if you're in an area where you can get some practice, on some great roads with a lot of curves, just do it so that you can get to Tennessee and, maybe ride Moonshiners 28 and Tail of the Dragon and the Back of the Dragon and just explore that area and, get some experience under your belt before you go there is what I recommend. West Virginia has some great roads. Virginia, I can go on and on. New York, I've been, in different places, out west, just some great roads. Even the Midwest, Oklahoma, wow. And just, there's great roads all over the United States. But get some practice before you go and try to tame the dragon, so to speak. And if you are in the area, if you're close to the Deals Gap area or close to the Tail of the Dragon, I'd love to see your comments on other roads that you recommend in that area. I most definitely want to come back or get back into that area and ride different roads. So if you have some others, I'd love to see your comments on what you recommend, maybe even places to stay. I have a few places that I had looked at and kind of picked out. But, I'm always open to ideas and on which roads in the area are excellent roads and which ones to add to the list. So maybe in some ways, I look at it as, depending on the road, a challenge. But for the most part, I just enjoy the ride, and I love the scenery, different types of scenery. And one of the things that, was a highlight for me with the Tail of the Dragon was the fact that I had my son on the back of the motorcycle, and, he'd been riding dirt bike, but he wasn't licensed legally to ride street bikes yet. He is now, but at that time he wasn't. So it was a lot of fun to have him on the back and, at the end of the tail, we got ourselves a T-shirt and said, "Yeah, you bet, we did it." And he could wear that shirt to school, and it strikes up some conversation and that type of stuff. So that's one of the highlights of doing something like this, especially with our son, and or with some friends. One of the things that I mentioned a little bit about earlier, but we experienced on the Tail of the Dragon was the fact that people seem to have respect for you. Now, granted, if it's over a weekend, there's a lot more traffic. You might not be able to get around vehicles as quickly or as easily. But, when the cars saw us coming, they knew we were traveling a little bit faster than they were, and they pulled over. And likewise, I did the same thing, when I saw a motorcycle in my rearview mirror. So that's one of the things that if you do it, if you want to ride the Tail of the Dragon, man, I recommend going probably Monday to Wednesday would probably be the best days to do that. I'm guessing, and I'm just guessing here, if some of you in the area or that know more about it, if you want to post in the comments and just let me know, no, Thursday's not too bad, but I would guess Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are probably the days that it starts to get pretty busy. That's just my guess. I don't know for sure. But I do know it certainly was nice being able to ride it with very little traffic. And what you just saw there was the guys that took our pictures for the pictures that you saw at the beginning. They do have people lined up along the side. They'll just pull off and they get some great pictures. And you can purchase them if you want. You can go to their website and pick out your pictures, your photos, and then you purchase them if you want, which I did because why not? Got a couple of cool pictures. And the company that took mine was killboy.com. So you can go to their website and check them out. They have some pretty cool photos, and that's who happened to be there. There may be more companies than one. I do not know this. But that's one company, and that's actually where I had gotten the photos of myself and our son. And actually, they were the ones at towards the beginning of the video. So, yeah, they have people set up doing that, which I think is a great idea, and it's a great business. I mean, wow. Somebody was thinking there, like, hey, let's get some cameras and let's get set up here. So congrats to whoever had that business idea. Great idea. In all honesty, I wouldn't mind going back with, now that my wife is riding her own, I would like to see her ride the Tail of the Dragon on her bike. And I'd also like to see my son do it on his own bike too. He's done it on the back. Now do it on your own. So who knows? Maybe that'll be in the future plans here. I'm not sure that it'll happen this year or next year because we do have some other trips planned. But it's something that I would enjoy doing, getting down with going to that area with a few more people and riding it again, and a bunch of other roads in that area. I don't know what type of bike he was on, but that looked like a lot of fun. He had a much greater lean angle than I had, and he was enjoying the day. And just another example of a car, when they get the chance, most of them will pull over. We passed mile 8, so there's 3 miles to go. There is a scenic overlook, and it's a beautiful view, but we did not stop until later. We actually went to the end, turned around, came back, and stopped at that scenic overlook and spent some time there. So as we get to the end of the Tail of the Dragon, I loved it, and I'd do it again. But what are some of your thoughts? Do you feel it's as dangerous as some people say it is? Go ahead, post in the comments. After we left the Dragon, we headed for Rocky Top, Tennessee, and we ended up spending the night in Rocky Top. The next day, we headed for my brother's house in Harrisonburg, Virginia. And we spent the night there and spent some time. My son got to spend some time with his cousins. And then we visited Cooters. How many of you remember the show Dukes of Hazzard? So we visited the museum there in Luray, Virginia, I think it's pronounced. And spent some time there. After that, we headed for home, back to Lancaster County. And I love to travel, but it's always good to get back to home sweet home.